Welcome back to Frank's Model Aviation Workshop. This is episode 25 in the Top Flight 60 size P-40E Warhawk Build, the Gold Edition kit. This episode we're going to be concentrating on sheeting the wing. We'll start off sheeting the bottom wing, then we'll run the air lines for the retracts, and I'm going to put strings in the wing to run my servo extensions through the wing, and get the top sheeted and the tips put on. Hopefully by the end of this video I'll have a completed wing ready to mount on the fuselage. Might even get the retracts mounted on it and get my wheel wells cut in. We'll see about that. See how long this video is going to be. I don't want to keep doing big 3-hour videos because they don't get as much traction as the shorter ones. Try to keep them within an hour, maybe 2 at the max. So we'll see what happens. So if you like this type of content, consider subscribing to my channel. Hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified each time I upload a new episode. And like and share my videos. I'd appreciate that. And as always, thanks for watching. And let's get going. So before we get started, we gotta sheet the forward section of the wing here. I'll move this. This is the bottom sheets. These are 3-inch pieces, seam sealed together. And I had a whole video where I did all that. So what I want to do to make sure I keep this thing straight and on the jig and on my tabs, I'm going to weigh down the tips. Making sure that I'm not in the way of me gluing any of the forward sheeting on. So I'll weigh down that. And as you can see, if I press down here, it lifts up the back of this wing. So I'm going to put a weight here too. It probably doesn't have to be much. Now maybe I'll just use one of these. It's pretty heavy for that. Of course, that's going to be in the way. Let's try something else. Okay. That might work. So let's do this. All right, we'll do that. That'll keep it steady. And I'm going to bring the camera over on this side so you can see me do it while I'm over on that side, because you're not going to be able to see much where you're at. So before we get started sheeting the wing, you want to go over all the spar locations where the ribs meet the spar and do a light sanding on the ribs. Anywhere a sheeting will set. You want to make sure there's no glue globs and any raised areas that might make a raised spot in your sheeting. So I'm going to go ahead and do that, and then we'll get started. I'm going to start in these center sections, and then we'll do the outer sections. You just want to lightly sand them. And make sure you visually check to make sure that there's no raised glue, especially in these areas here with the leading edge. Because that'll make a little raised area, and you'll definitely see it once the sheeting's done. I'm just going over the entire bottom wing. So far looking good. Just going over these trailing edges where the ailerons are because they're not laser cut like some of these newer top flight kits. So you want to make sure you got them decent. And I'll have to remove these aileron control wires or push rods because they need to be removed in order to mark where I got to put the slot, cut the slot in. I'll show you that when I get to it. Right, here's what I was talking about, this aileron trailing edge, or not the trailing edge for the aileron, but the trailing edge of the wing where the aileron butts up against. It's really rough there, so you want to smooth that out. And I'm just giving it a light sanding. Being careful not to dig into the ribs. And you want to take your time doing this. You don't want to sand too much, but you want to make sure that they meet up with the top of the ribs. All right. I'll do the other side as well. This side I think I already did mostly. It's already closed. I can't wait to get these wings sheeted. It's gonna make it look a lot nicer. Then you gotta really be careful of hanger rash. Alright, I think I'm done sanding. Okay. So we'll start sheeting these wings over the center section. I'm going to use thick CA. In the center section, I'm going to be using my small T-bar to do these, to hold down the sheeting. So what I'm going to start with this. I'm going to tape it on and kind of flip it back, run my thick CA, put that in there, and I'll run a bead of thin CA in the front. I'm going to test fit both these, make sure they still fit good. Yeah, there's a little bit of raised area there. I need to sand a little bit. You want that to meet in the center smoothly. I think that'll work. A little more. You don't want to change the airfoil shape, but you do want it to set right. There we go. That's better. All right, so I'm going to start off by taping them. Well, also you want to sand like a slight bevel on the front of the sheeting. Not a big one, but just a slight one. So it gets a really good glue joint. And then just tape it in there tight. I'm just basically pulling on that tape to pull it in tight so you can see it's lifting up. So that's tight where it wants to be. I'm going to go ahead and glue that in. So I'm going to lift up slightly just so I can get the glue in there. You can see I was using this T-bar to hold it down. Probably could have used medium CA here. Okay. Same thing with the other side, is sand a little taper, just so you get a better glue joint. All right, same thing. Gonna run a bead, and we'll get that glued in. Really tight fitting right there. It's just that easy, really. You just want to make sure that you're mindful of where your glue joints are. And it takes about 30 seconds for this stuff to set up. That's why I had to raise it up. Just hold it down for a couple seconds. Now I'm going to take this off and run a bead of thin CA in that joint. And that'll do it for the center section. I'm only sanding that center section there, and I'll sand this whenever you get the rest of the sheeting done. All right, same thing gonna happen for both outer panels. I'll just keep you zoomed in there. So these you just tape them in there, just like I did there. I'll put a slight bevel on the front, like I did before. I'll probably put about 52 pieces of tape on here. I'm putting a piece of tape like every 3 inches or so. You could put one like where every rib is, or whatever you want to do. You just want to make sure when you do these, when you glue these sheets down, you want to make sure your wing is down on the table. I think I'm going to use medium C. Okay, it's on. Little gaps on the spar, which is what you want. You don't want to see any gaps on that spar. And I had to remove the tape to get that. So we'll go ahead and remove the tape and put a bead of thin in there. And as always, be careful removing your tape because you could pull the fibers of the balsa wood up. Also, by doing this, you're pushing down on the leading edge where the glue might not have been set. So that's also a good thing. I'm sighting down to make sure there's no waves in that leading edge, and there isn't so far. I'll run that thin CA down. All right, that's that side. Remember, I'm not going to be sanding any more on this panel until after it's glassed. The only thing I'm going to sand is this ridge off to get my airfoil. That's it. All right, let's do this one. Same way. Gonna sand a little bevel in it. Just slightly, just very slight. This is my repaired leading edge that had the bow in it. Once you get the glue pretty much set, I would recommend taking this tape off, concentrating on that leading edge, make sure that leading edge is down on them ribs. That's good. Now on the back side of these sheetings here, there's going to be an open space that I'm gonna put a little sliver of 1/16 in there. All right, that's the front sheeting. Okay, the next step is to sheet the bottom aft portion of the wing. We have to remove the aileron linkages because we're going to rough cut the size we need and turn the wing over and mark where this opening is. Cut the opening for this aileron linkage And then we'll reinstall the sheeting with the aileron link sticking out of it. Okay, so what I did on the other side, I used the sheeting and I just butted the sheeting up against here. Now this is loose, but whenever I go to actually sheet the bottom of the wing, I'm going to tack glue that center jig, and I'm going to tack glue my wing tips, the jigs down to the table, so it will not move. But as far as this goes, you just line it up on that sheeting, which what I'm going to do is tape it. That way it'll stay where it's supposed to be. That way you know that's a straight line. And then you just take your knife and run along that edge. Try not to screw up like that. Should have did it the way I did the other one. Alright. Now you just take your knife or one of these little wood carving tools. And you know, be careful because you could potentially screw up your sheeting like I'm probably going to do. Just judging by this thing, I'm going to have a gap. What I'm doing is getting the glue bead out of there. There won't be that much of a gap. I got a dang little sliver there. Hopefully it'll glue down. But that'll be good. That'll work. And it butts up there flush. Same with this side. So now what we need to do, I'll back you up and I'll show you. Okay, so now I'm going to take these aileron linkages or push rods out on both sides. And now I'm going to tape this on and on our seam. I'm going to draw lines where I need to cut. I'm going to leave the ends the way they are. I'll cut them later. But let's tape that on. The reason I'm taping it is that way it'll stay put when you're trying to do your drawing. You know, it won't move on you. You don't have to tape it on but a couple places. I'm going to go 3 places. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to use my flexible ruler because I like using it because it flexes. So you'll measure down this center line. Now, One thing you want to keep in mind is when you, this has an airfoil on it, a curve. So when you bend that ruler to that curve, you're going to cut it, and the inside here is going to be too far in. So what you want to do is you want to go beyond the center just a little, cut it, and then sand these ends just a little, to where whenever you put that sheet back on there, you'll be lined up perfectly on your center line. That's true with any airfoil unless it's a flat bottom airfoil. So I'm gonna draw a line there to cut. I'm not going to cut it on the wing. So I'm going just beyond that center line, about maybe a 32nd, if that. That way it'll give you plenty of leeway. That's that. Now, here's the tricky part, is turning it over and marking the back side. So I'm not going to actually lay it on the wing, but I'm going to flip it up on its end and draw it from the back side. So you won't, I guess I can turn around and show you what I'm doing, but I'll show you. So we know that we have operating flaps. I want to make sure I got you in there. Yeah. I want to make, we got operational flaps. So you don't need all this. So we're going to basically, I'm going to mark it a 1/4 inch roughly. And I'm just going to make a dash here and a dash here. And I'll complete that line with a straight edge. And then I'll make a dash here. Something like that. So we'll cut that out. And we'll make a dash here. I'm leaving a 1/4 inch. And a dash over here. So that's all we need. Now, here's our aileron bay right here, where the linkage comes out. So I'm going to mark this exactly where it is. As much as I can get to it. Alright, so now I'm going to put this back on the jig. Not really, but I'm going to lift this up. And as you can see, this is our aileron bay where we need to make that little slot for the control push rod. And here's our lines that we need to cut. Right here, here, and here. From here to here, up, and from here to here. And then I'll get the plan out, and we'll plan out where that goes. First thing I'm going to do is cut my outline. And make sure you have a sharp blade. I already put a new sharp blade in this thing. So I'm going to cut this outline. See if my 18-inch rule be long. Let's see. Yeah. So that'll work. And all these scraps I'm going to save because we're going to use them later. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to cut this one here. Now you know that you're already a 1/4 inch big here all the way around. So just cut on the line. And just take your time, be careful. Okay, now I'm going to do this one here. And this line is I think is the exact line, so. All right, now we'll cut this line here. So that should be the bottom aft portion of the wing. Saving this because we're going to need it to do the back part of that bottom sheet. Now, I'm going to test this on the wing before I go any further, because if I screwed up, I need to know now. I don't think it did, though. We'll see. Oh, I forgot to cut that center. Okay, yeah, I did cut this part big, so that's good. So I still have to cut this. That's why I have many different sizes of these cutting boards, that way I don't need to keep messing around. And once we get this pattern, I'm going to use it to cut my other sheeting. Might as well do it all at once, because it should be a duplicate from the other side. Let's see how it fits. Okay, before I do the other pattern, I went ahead and darkened my lines up, and I cut the aileron exit out of the plan. That way we can just put that on there, line it up as even as we can get her. And then what we'll do is I'm going to put pinholes in each corner. So what I'll do is just line them up best we can, straight as you can. The only thing that matters is the straightness this way. If this cuts off and this cuts off, that's all right. You just want to make sure that it's parallel. And then we're just going to put this pin in, give it a little twirl. That basically tells us where our cut line is. So I'm going to use my clear ruler to cut that, because it'll give you a straighter line. take your time cutting this. You don't want to blow out the other side because that's your finished side. All right, there's one aileron exit. So I'm gonna put it on here and see what it looks like. Tell you what, let's really check it. We'll put this thing back on and see what it looks like. I hate these dang 256 rods. They're too dang thick. Okay. Look at that. Perfect. I'll take it. All right. So now that we got that pattern, we are going to repeat that on another piece of sheet. Being careful not to damage this side. Okay, off camera, I cut the other one. So we got two identical sheets. Push rod exits are in the exact same spot from the center line. So I made sure my center line, if I put them on the table, as you can see, those push rod exits are perfectly in line with one another. Next thing I gotta do from the inside is glue reinforcement strips of balsa wood grain going this way. So I'll do that now. So what we'll do, we'll measure. I want to put them a 1/4 inch beyond that, so I need 1 1/8 inches times 4, and I'll make them a 1/4 inch wide. So I'm going to use some of this spare stuff. And what I like this clear ruler for is you can actually put it on the 1/4 inch mark and just whoosh, you can cut it. I can find my knife. So I'm going to put it on a 1/4 inch mark. Then I'll just cut me a strip. Probably enough right there. Now I need to go and mark each one of those 1 1/8 inches. And I need 4 of them, so 1 1/8 inches. That's rough. It's a rough thing. It doesn't have to be exact, but I like to try to make it perfect. All I need is 4 of them. Okay, so that'll be 4. So we'll take and once again use this clear ruler because it's fun to use. I like using this thing. That way all your cuts are 90 degrees. One. Two. Three. And one more. Okay, now before I glue these on, I think I want to harden the edges of these. Nah, I'm not gonna do it. Yeah, I think I am. I'll show you what I do to harden them. And that, really, you got to do it now, because if you do it later, you're going to be sanding over an open bay, and you don't want that. So as you can see, you know, I got soft balsa there, so I'm going to take some thin CA and just very carefully just touch the edges. Be careful not to get any drips. You only want to do those open ends. Okay, so now I'll take my sandbar and smooth it out. This is the finished side, so that's the side you want nice. Other side don't really matter. But I'm going to sand it anyway, because we got to glue those things on. That'll be a nice edge. I think I'm going to put just a little dab there. I'm just very lightly going over that. That way you know that it's going to take a little bit of abuse. Now, I'll go ahead and glue two of those things on it. Like this, using medium CA. And I'm not going to put them like right next to it. I'm going to hold them back just a little bit. I don't know, maybe a 64th or a little less. The only reason I'm doing that is because I don't want to see them on the inside when I'm looking at the hole. I mean, you don't look at the bottom of the wing anyway, but it's just a personal preference of mine. So I'm just going to put a little bead. It don't take much, that's too much. Perfect. So just get it in there as best you can and hold her down until she dries. And I don't think there's any set length or whatever, but you want to keep it semi-short because, you know, you got a kind of a curve, but not much of one. complete that wing sheet. So I'll put that over here. And we'll do the same thing with that. We'll harden that up a little bit. And I want to have the good side facing out because you want to watch what you're doing here. Watch where you put your fingers. I need a different piece of wax paper. I go through wax paper rapidly. We'll start with this side. Right now, we'll glue 2 more of those things on. One more to go. Okay. Now the trick is going to be gluing these things on so they don't stick. So what I'm going to do first, put this aileron linkage back on, and then I'm going to glue this wing down to the table. Now there's a aileron servo in here that I'm going to have to cut a hole for. A slight one. So I'll have to measure for that before we get going on this. It's just for the shits and giggles, see what that looks like. Yeah, I can feel it needs sanded. Okay, so straight edge or my short sander to figure out what I need to do. So definitely going to be a hole starting there. That'll get covered over with the belly pan. I'm not sure if Mike had that issue or not, but I definitely do. So I'm going to line this up. I'm just going to give it a dent. Actually, I'm going to sand this first. Just sand a little bit just to take that straightness out of it. So it should sit in there just perfect. You can see that gap right there. I don't know if you can see that, but I had to sand until that gap disappeared. It would really help if I didn't have that servo there. But you just want to do it a little bit at a time. Don't rush it, because the key is you want zero gap. And I'm kind of putting a slight angle on it for the dihedral there. Got a slight bit of a ball split in there. I'm probably going to have like a little gap there, but being as it's on the spar, I can use my sanding thin CA technique, which works perfectly at filling tiny gaps. Oh, that's better. Alright, let's get that closer. Oh boy, it's almost perfect. I'm going to sand this back edge just a hair. See what that looks like. Okay, that's perfect. Once I get the servo cut in, let's see what kind of dent. Just need a slight dent, and I don't have one. So let's do this. Since this is 90 roughly, I'm going to mark it right here. Right there. Okay, so definitely is not 90. So we're going to have to do this a different way. I'm going to have to flip the wing up on edge. Take this one off. Tape this one in position. I'm just going to mark that servo where it needs to be cut. And I'll take it off. I gotta make it to where I can get this sheeting down flat, and that servo is holding it out, so can't do it. So basically what I'm going to do here is just cut an L, and then I'm just going to diagonal it. That's all that I should need to take out of there. Since it's 90, servo is 90, I'm going to make sure it's straight. Now if you guys do dual aileron servos, you won't have to deal with this. I'm just trying to cut back on the weight. Test fit that, see what it looks like. Perfect. That is perfect. I'll take it. Now I got some glue holding this up. That's one thing you gotta go through, and you want this sheeting to butt up nice. You got glue holding it up. It won't do that. I'm half tempted to use aliphatic resin, because I don't like that stuff. It takes forever to dry. Oh, trial and error. I'm just trying to get that to meet up nice. I think that's pretty good. Yeah, I like it. So what I'm thinking about doing, call me crazy, I'm thinking about using slow CA, gluing it on this center spar, and taping it really tight, flipping it upside down, and using CA on the inside. And then the top will be a lot easier. But I'm going to have this, that's not going to happen because I'm going to have this thing glued to the table. So let's see. Just a little bit of fitting it. There's a little, just the tiniest of seams right there. Okay, big warning here. What I'm about to attempt should not be tried by the novice builder. Maybe shouldn't be tried by me, we're going to find out. What I'm going to do for this bottom sheeting, I'm going to use thick CA. I've been warned not to, but I'm going to try to do it anyway, and if things go wrong, well, that's on me. So I'm going to do this very carefully. You'll see me do it. You'll either see me succeed in doing it, or you'll see me fail tragically and have to sand all the sheeting off, rejoin more sheets, and resheet it. So I'm going to do this left side first. I'll save the right side for a pattern in case I screw up. So we're going to try it. So as you can tell by the look on my face, I'm scared to death. So under any circumstances, I do not recommend this for any inexperienced builder, first time builder, or even if this is your third or fourth kit, because I could literally end up having to sand this sheeting off if I screw this up. So that won't be fun, and let's get to it. Okay, so before I lay down any glue, I'm going to tell you what I did. I pre-taped my leading edge, so I'm going to keep this sheet, after I put all my glue down, I'm going to keep this sheet up off of that frame until I get that leading edge here positioned just where I want it. I'll push it in while I'm pushing down, and I'll tape it. Boom, 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 boom. I'll tape it. And then I'll take my T-bars and do the old, T-bar thing. Boom, boom. But that's the only way I know to do it. Tight bond would be the best way to do it, but I don't have an applicator. All I have is a giant gallon of tight bond, so I'm gonna do it this way. It'll all be pre-taped, so these are all gonna go in. Now, this little section here that's on the opposite side of the landing gear pod, it was an open space, so I just cut a strip of 1/16 and put it in there. It's in line with the rest of it. I test fitted my sheeting. It fits nice along here, and when I do my gluing on this edge, I'm going to keep it further this way than closer to that seam, because I don't want my sheeting to catch until I get that, position. So I'm going to take a deep breath here, and well, we're going to either sink or swim. So this is a brand new fresh bottle of Maxi Cure. So I'm going to go ahead and start gluing this up. I'll start on this. I think I'll start on the trailing edge. Seems like a smart plan. That way the newest glue's here, so it will take longer to cure. I know Mike Bayon is like, I don't know if I do that, but it is what it is. I can't say I'm not nervous, because I really don't want to sand sheeting, but apparently you can't get small bottles of Titebond around here. My hand's shaking. Damn it. Keep breaking that dang strip off my trailing edge. I glued my wing to the table. I put the glue to the outside of these rails. No going back now. Well, I think we can call that a success. Oh man, am I shaking like a leaf? Oh my God. Whew. That's the stress there, buddy. Wow. Okay. Oh, look at my hand shake. Okay. Whew. Okay. So that trick worked. So I'll go ahead and do the other side. I pray that goes the same way. A little glue on the sheeting there, but that ain't gonna be too bad. You just sand that seam there. Do not sand anything other than that seam though. You don't want to feel anything. That's good for now. I'm not gonna squabble over it too much. It's just initial. Hand's still shaking like a leaf. That's a good initial. I'm not going to go any further. All right. Happy with that. Turned out good. Feels good. On to the other side. Okay. We're going to try it again on this side. It'll be a lot easier because I got a place to butt up against. So I'm going to go ahead and run my glue bead. Man, I'm still shaking. Holy mackerel. And once again, I pre-sanded my surface to make sure there was no high spots. This will be the one I screw up on, you watch. Okay. Same jitters. Oh, you dummy. Just crunched my sheeting right there. All right. Another successful sheeting attempt. Now I'm going to do a minor sand to that seam just to flatten it out a little bit. Nothing major because I don't want to make that sheeting thin. Start here. smooth as a baby's ass. Once again, I'm only sanding on that spar. You'll know if you sand it in the wrong spot. Oh yeah. I'm just over here on the left wing. Get a little bit of stuff done on it. When I get done here, I'm going to bring you guys around to look at it. A little low spot right there for some reason. I don't want to sand too much on that. Okay. Had to do that for a servo. It gets covered by the belly pan. Well, there she is, bottom wing sheeted. I think the next step's to trim up the edges. Okay, so I mocked up the, or not mocked up, I installed the retracts again. Without the wheel, I put the retract down, ran a drill bit, that's the exact size for that axle, down in, got my centering mark for where I need to make a 4-inch circle, probably 4 and a little bit. So I'll get that cut in and make some wheel wells. I know there's a lot more to do, but that's something I need to do anyways. So since I got this thing jigged up and on this side, I'm gonna go ahead and do my retract wheel wells, and then we'll turn it over, trim up the sheeting edges, and run the air lines, keep them to where I can get to them after the top sheeting's done, and put some string in there for the flap servos and extensions. Turned out pretty decent, I think. So we'll continue on. I think I'm going to call this the episode. I'm traumatized from that bottom wing sheeting CA episode. I was shaking like a leaf. And as you can see, we got the retracts in there, got the centering holes, and main point is the bottom wing sheeting, and I'm making some progress here. That'll conclude episode 25, bottom wing sheeting, retract install. Next episode, we'll concentrate on putting the retracts in the wheel wells. I want to line the wheel wells and probably line it with, I don't know, either balsa or the kit comes with 1/64 ply. So I don't know what I've decided to do yet, but we'll get the wheel wells lined in, make it to where it'll function without hanging up anywhere. Then we'll take it off the jig, turn it over, trim the sheeting, and continue on with the top sheeting after we run our strings and air lines. So anyway, if you like this type of content, you like what you're seeing, this episode's already going on 2 hours, and just from the coverage that I have, even if I cut it down, it's still going to be almost 2 hours. So I think that's plenty long enough. And like I said, if you like this type of content, you like what you're seeing, you want to see more of it, consider subscribing to my channel and hit that notification bell so you can be notified of the next installment, and like and share my videos. And as always, thank you for watching.